all the old movie stars. I used to love Marilyn Monroe. She was my favorite actress, and Shirley Temple. I loved her too. But Michael Jackson, of course, was my greatest inspiration. And
Yeah, no, we'll get to it. But
okay.
at that point, did you think you were going to sing or act, or
Yeah.
did you have an idea of when you were having this vision and talking to family and friends? What was it that you thought you were going to see yourself really striving in?
I always wanted to do both, singing and acting. I always loved both of those things. I think it was easier in school to act because we had plays and, I could take acting classes. But on the side, I was always writing my own songs. I think I wrote my first song when I was 9. And
Wow.
then I put my first song on tape when I was about 16. It's a song called The Mask, believe it or not. And it was about like the first time I visited California, I saw Michael Jackson driving in a car, and he had a mask on. Yeah, he had a mask on. And I wrote this whole song called The Mask. So it's ironic that now we're all wearing masks. I have a song for that. I need to release that song, actually.
Yeah.
Wow. But yeah, I was writing songs, playing, the keyboards, and I have notebooks and notebooks full of songs, and creating the melodies, and I had a 4-track recorder that I recorded on. And so I was really serious about songwriting and singing. And but then, when I moved to LA, as I said, I moved here with a singing partner, one of my female friends, and we drove across country, and we drove here. Actually, on our drive here, we actually recorded our demo in the car on a boombox as we were driving. 4 songs. And so by the time we got here, we had a whole demo. And so I truly thought I was going to be a singer. But then, like, within the first month of living here in Los Angeles, I got a small part in the movie House Party, which became a classic.
Yeah, I love that.
Exactly.
Love the soundtrack of it. Yeah. So
a lot of acting opportunities started coming my way, and the singing opportunities didn't.
wait. So, how old were you when you and your friend took the journey? I mean, that must have been a 3-day journey. But how old were you when you made the journey?
I was about 18.
Okay, so your folks just put you in the car and said, "Okay, Shana, good luck, and we will hope for the best." And they weren't worried about how life is. In fact, you're going across country on your own.
I guess they were worried. They didn't tell me they were worried. They were just so supportive. And, I was always very mature for my age. I never did anything bad. I wasn't a partier at that age. So they trusted me. They knew that I would do what was right, and that they could trust that I would be okay, even though I was on my own at 18 in Los Angeles. But, they were right, because I'm still here. So, sometimes you have to do scary things in order to make big dreams come true. You can't stay in your comfort zone. That is so important. So many of us would love to just sit around and just be comfortable and just not really do anything that's scary. But it's the scary things that make you, they take you to a position in life that you would never get to if you just remain comfortable. You got to do those things that scare you.
Now, you're saying this with so much ease, but it's not as easy as you're saying it. And but I do want to know, where do you think that came from? That sense of vision, drive, and action, because that's not common with everyone. And so where do you think that came from?
It was just in me. And, everyone is not meant to do certain things. Some people are meant to just stay in their hometowns and, have a nice, happy life with their family, which is great. I would love to be able to be normal. It would be a lot, I'd probably be happier, actually. But some people, you're just born with it. It's in your blood. I can't tell you where it came from. It's just always been there. And I don't know any other way. It's not something that I had to develop or try to have. It's just something I've always had. I've always had this intense drive and focus to go after my dreams. It's really just that simple, and it's not something I can even explain. It's just always been there.
Yeah, and it's really good that you said that, because I know some people would say, yep, my mom or my dad or my brother and uncle, I mean, I wanted to be like them, and that's where that drive came from. But I think it just helps to see that, when we see people like yourself come from a place where it wasn't, if you came from a Hollywood connected family and you have an uncle that's there, and it's like, yeah, pretty much you can make it through. But when you've had to come from DC, at the end, at the one end of the country to another, and to still hold on to that dream, it does say that, yeah, it's, as you said, there are some of us who are different, that have something innate in them, that it has to come out. So you get to LA with your friend. She's predominantly wants to be a singer. You have the ability to do both, and you said it didn't take long before House Party. I mean, that's a massive classic. I mean, Kid and Play's first movie with Martin Lawrence. It's just Tisha Campbell. It was the dancing, the everything. But was that the first thing you did? You just got there and got to... Oh, goodness. How long did that take?
Yeah. The girl I came out here with, her sister-in-law knew the guy who wrote and directed the movie, or her sister-in-law's husband, actually. Okay. And they were like, there's this movie that they're about to film, and why don't you go meet with the director? The director is Reggie Hudlin. He's famous and has done a lot of amazing movies now, but at that time he also had never done anything. This was his very first movie, and he had never written anything and never directed, and it was a low budget movie. So I went and met with Reggie, and we were all young at that time. He was in his 20s and I was 18. So I met with him, me and my friend met with him, and it was just a really casual meeting. We did a few lines, read a few lines with him, and he said, okay, I'm gonna think of some parts for you guys that you can play. Wow. So he really just created the parts that we played. My friend is in it too, the girl that I drove out here with. She has a part in it. So yeah, it really is all in who out here. You have to, you can't do this alone. You have to know people.
Yeah. So your own set, I mean, apart from Kid and Play, was anyone else well known? I know Full Force, but when you were on set, how did it feel like seeing these people? Did you know any of them before?
No, the only person I think, Martin Lawrence was in it, who's from my hometown too. Oh, he was new.
Yeah.
But I think he had done maybe What's Happening Now or something. But I don't think I knew him either at that time. Tisha Campbell had done, I think Tisha Campbell was the only person who had really done a lot of acting prior to, because she started as a young teenager, I think, in other movies. I think Rocky Horror, was it Little Shop of Horrors? Yeah, okay. She was in that movie. So I think she had done that before House Party. But other than that, everyone was pretty much unknown. So we all were young and hungry.
No Kid and Play?
I guess they had a hit, I think, prior to House Party.
Yeah, they were part of Soul. Yeah, so they're the ones that we all knew. We all knew, especially with the actor and stuff.
You're right, and Full Force and Kid and Play were the ones that we knew.
So you're on the set, you're doing a part. Did you just think, wow, this is easier than I thought? Or what was going through your mind when you started a month after you arrived, you're already in a movie?
It was amazing. And first, I'll say, prior to that, I had gone to Universal Studios to get a job because I didn't have a job. I didn't have any money. So I just moved here with no money. So I saw that Universal Studios was holding a big casting call for tour guides. So that was the first thing I did. I auditioned to be a tour guide at Universal Studios. And that was, really hard too. There were 500 people trying to, get 20 jobs as a tour guide. And we had to go through a long process of learning a whole 500-page script. You had to learn the entire history of Universal Studios in order to be a tour guide, which was kind of easy for me because my whole life I had been studying the history of Hollywood. So a lot of the stuff I already knew. So I got the part as a tour guide at Universal. So that was my day job. And but most of the people there were actors and actresses, so they would allow you to go out on auditions. And that's another important thing. You had to get a job that was flexible enough to allow you to go do what you really wanted to do. So while I had that job, I got the part in House Party. So I had to kind of like put that on hold to go do this movie. And gosh, it was so amazing because we filmed House Party. We didn't film it in a house. We filmed it, most of the scenes, in a soundstage.
Wow.
At a movie studio, the same movie studio where Gone with the Wind was filmed. So I was like, oh my God, I'm sitting here at Culver Studios, and this is where Clark Gable was. This is where, this is where they shot Gone with the Wind. So it was exciting. And then on the soundstage next to us, Pee-wee's Playhouse was being filmed. Pee-wee Herman. Yeah. And for some odd reason, I used to idolize Pee-wee Herman at that time. I loved his movie. So I would sit there all day and I'd like watch him, get out of his car and go into his set, and he would be like smoking a cigarette. And I'm like, Pee-wee Herman smokes?
Yeah. I can imagine that.
So that was my first introduction to Hollywood, and seeing that, a lot of times the image that people have of others is not real. To see Pee-wee Herman, to see that he's a smoker, that like really shattered some of my, illusions. So